Hello everybody! Today we're going to talk about how to clean your cornet. Here's what you need: a snake, a tubing brush, a valve casing brush, a toothbrush, a screwdriver, dish soap, slide grease, and valve oil, and of course your instrument. Part 1. Disassembly. Begin by removing the main tuning slide, then the second valve slide, then your bottom valve caps. Make sure you're putting everything on a nice, clean, soft surface. I like to use an old dish drying mat. Then, remove the valves. Now my cornet has triggers on it, so I have an extra step. I just have to unscrew one of the linkages, and be careful with the screw, it's a little fiddly and easy to lose. Once you have it, make sure you put it someplace safe, and take out the third slide. Then you repeat the process with the first valve slide. Now we begin to disassemble the valves themselves. Start by unscrewing the valve stem, as shown here. Then, put the valve stem down and remove the spring. Now, remove the valve guide by sliding it up, then twisting. Make note of the big side of the valve guide and where it goes in relation to the number on the piston. Repeat the process with the other two valves. Now we begin to actually clean the instrument. Make sure your brushes and soap are within reach and begin to rinse the instrument out. Make sure you get water down the lead pipe, in the valve slides, in the valves, and down the bell for good measure. Take your valve casing brush, wet it, and put some soap on it. While it's under running water, scrub out the valve casings of your instrument. This is the most important part, because your valves need to be clean so they can move fast and freely. Next, we clean the inside of the valve slides with another brush. Wet it, put some soap on it, and begin to scrub. It shouldn't take much if you're on top of your instrument maintenance. To clean the lead pipe, we use the snake. Wet it, and put some soap down the lead pipe and scrub. This is another very important part. The lead pipe is the most sensitive part of the instrument. Now we do a final rinse of everything on the instrument. Make sure you're using lukewarm water, not hot. Hot water can strip the lacquer off your instrument if you're not careful. Now we move on to valves and slides. Take a slide, rinse it out, put some soap down there, and use your snake to scrub it out. In addition to cleaning the inside of the slide, make sure you clean the outside of the slide. Either use your hand, like you can see here if you have room, or use the toothbrush and get all of the gunk off the outside. Repeat this process with all of your different slides. Now we move on to valves. Wet the valve, put some soap on it, then use the toothbrush to scrub it up. When you have a lot of suds, make sure you clean the inside of the ports with your slide brush. Rinse it off and repeat the process with the other two valves. Now it's time to put everything back together. We begin by reassembling the valves. Make note of the orientation of your valve guides. Insert it into the slot, twist, and let it fall down. Then install the spring. Finally, thread in the valve stem. Repeat the process for the other valves. Now we move on to the tuning slides. Put a little bit of slide grease on each of the legs of the tuning slide. Be careful though, a little bit goes a long way and you'll get some squeeze out at the end. I like to start with the main tuning slide and then move on to the second valve slide. Then I do the first and third slides. When you get to this step, if you have triggers, reinstall the linkage and screw it together. Assembling an instrument with triggers can be a little bit tricky. Make sure you take your time and don't cross-thread any of your screws. If you don't have triggers, this step is a lot easier. Note that while my first and third slides are reassembled, the triggers still move slowly. In order to counteract the thick slide grease I put on there, I'll put a few drops of valve oil on there to loosen things up. Only a few drops and things move much quicker. I repeat the process for the first valve slide. When reassembling the instrument, I like to put a few drops of valve oil on the piston, put it in the casing, take it out again, and then put more oil on it. I find this gives me the best coverage. Finally, screw on your valve caps. Maybe blow a little bit of air through the instrument, move the valves up and down, make sure everything works. Now, enjoy your clean instrument. It should play a lot better.